Okay, so welcome everyone. You've got Michelle Carty with you today with the CC Realty Show. And for those that are watching and that may or may not have been aware, for the whole month of November, we wanted to focus on affordability. And I mean, affordability in real estate could mean a lot of things to different people, but I asked in advance to have a special guest on, and I thought, what better to have this gentleman on and just speak a little bit about his direct experience right now as we're speaking about just affordability and what is out there in the market and just what his experience has been um, you know, just on acquiring and becoming a first time home buyer. So Ryan is joining us and bear with us. We're just having a couple of tech difficulties. Let me just make sure, Ryan, can you hear me all right? Okay, we don't have any mute. We don't have audio yet for Ryan. So just give him a few minutes to connect. Um, bear with me, folks. I'm just going to let him know. There's no coming through. Now, folks, if we have any difficulty bringing Ryan on, I may bring Ryan on again in the future. There's a lot of unknowns right now in this market that we're currently in, real estate. But real estate means so many different things to so many people. So for the purpose of those that are watching, we're really talking about affordability, getting your foot in the door, becoming a home buyer, whether you are a homeowner. So whether you are a first-time home buyer or whether you are an investor or a newcomer, just get your foot in the door. We get this question asked to us constantly. When's the right time to buy? The right time to buy, folks, is first, it all comes down to affordability. So the moment that you can afford to buy and you're qualified, get into the market. The market rate now for the last few months, actually, I'd probably say for the last 8 months, we have seen it very strong. And even though we've had COVID, it really only slowed down for about 3 weeks and then it picked right back up. The market as we go forward, it's not one that we're going to just be able to say, okay, it's going to go down, go up. I did hear from, I think it was, not too sure, it was from CIBC, and there was an announcement that came out of the city of Hamilton. It might even be through, I think on the cable network channel, it might have been even CHCH, but they were predicting that potentially they can see come January, the market around Ontario, like not so much Toronto and not so much Hamilton, but other areas, they say it may come down by anywhere from 10 to 12%. Real estate is based on supply and demand. So when we look at that affordability, can we get a foot in the door in the market? Do I qualify? What am I qualified for? I encourage this. I encourage it. I encourage it. Folks, if you don't know, find out. Find out. Where do you find out? We find out usually from a really good mortgage broker. And I think we just got Ryan in, so I'm excited because I can hear a voice.
Yeah, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Ryan. So welcome, Ryan. We're running live on our page, and so thank you so much for all the persistency.
No problem at all. I just had to figure out how I could get dialed in. When I joined the video, I couldn't hear you, so I had to like call into Zoom or something like that.
Sometimes I would say, oh my goodness, did our developers test all of the apps back and forth? But you know what? It's I've had to stop doing that. So you know what? We're just fortunate that we have technology and we're able to do this.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we got it figured out, so that's all that matters.
You know what? Just a solution oriented, probably a really good segue to kind of go on our topic around, what affordability means to you and just your experience over the last, let's call it 12 to 18 months, Ryan. And just where you are now, because affordability is really important. But welcome.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so welcome. I'm glad you're on board with us. And for everybody that's watching, we've got Ryan Gumbert on as a guest. And for those that may not be aware, um, Ryan kind of has a family that came from real estate. He grew up in a little bit of it and has been in the industry. And then just finally at that point where, okay, he's looking at um, investing in himself. And the topic around affordability is it's a very relevant topic right now. So Ryan,
Absolutely.
first just welcome, and second, going back 18 months ago to 2 years ago, like when did you decide that you're going to start moving towards this, and when did you decide that you were going to put a date in mind as to when you could purchase?
Yeah, so I've wanted to own a house forever now. I just didn't feel like I was in the position to get there quite yet. So that's when we kind of started talking about it a little more, and you kind of influenced me to might as well try, right? You never know until you try. So
Right.
you put me in touch with a really good mortgage broker, and we did try, but unfortunately, this was probably about 6 months ago now. Unfortunately, where I was at that point, I couldn't get approved for what I needed and everything. So fortunately for me, the mortgage broker that you had suggested for me, he gave me kind of like a game plan. So basically he told me, hey, you need to take these specific steps by these specific times in order to get where you want to be, right?
Okay.
So initially what we wanted to do is we were going to put everything off for about a year. But it's 6 months down the line, and we pulled up our credit report and everything, and we were looking good. So that's when we kind of reached back out to you and said, hey, let's try it again. So we were in a lot better position. And just going off what you're saying about affordability too, and I've obviously watched all the previous episodes of the CC show. So I know that you mentioned affordability means different things to different people, right? So to me, affordability was basically whatever I get approved for. I'll find something within that range. As long as I get approved, that's all that matters.
I want to give you a virtual just applause for that, Ryan, because I think what you just said right there is one of the things that some people they may well, no, I want to wait, or that's the kind of home I want to buy, so I'm going to wait. What I get worried about is I don't know if the market's going to keep climbing. And if it keeps climbing, then I'm always concerned, oh, did you just price yourself out of getting into the market? And
absolutely.
Yeah. But once you're in the market, and even Ryan, if the you get in the market and let's say it starts to go back, it starts to drop.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever seen it, like even if it drops, I think over time what I've usually seen is the prices go up.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think what was really important for us and a key thing to take away for anyone watching is I mentioned that I didn't feel like I was ready, and you were the one that kind of pushed me to go to the mortgage broker, approach them, and see where I stood. And even though I wasn't ready 6 months ago, and I figured I wasn't ready, you still pushed me to do it. And if I hadn't have done that, today I probably would be in the position I'm in because I wouldn't have known what I had to do to get to this position in order to be approved for the mortgage and everything. So if I didn't try, I would have never known, right?
Really good point. Really, really good. And I didn't even think of it, from what you say. I know it's like, sometimes we get in our head and we start thinking, well, we can't because of this, and this. And like you said, Ryan, we start to think, oh, we can't, or it's going to be down the road. And my thinking was, well, especially when I became really familiar with how all of this works, which isn't what I I would have known prior to being in this industry. And once I'm on this side of the industry, I realized everybody should know where they are, and everybody should at least, do the reach out to find out, well, what is your plan? Like if like,
Absolutely.
yeah, I mean, because we know that even if a credit score is not that great, I mean, it can happen for a variety of reasons. But what do we do to fix it? So you got guidance
Hmm.
around what you had to do.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly. And another thing too that I feel like I would have never known without having like a real estate professional on my side too is the fact of sorry, I lost my train of thought. I'm just driving right now.
No worries,
I'm
and I
just switching
appreciate you.
lanes and all over the highway.
And just stay focused, and your hands free. So stay focused, stay focused. We pretty
Yeah.
much do the same. As soon as we finish out here, and gee, the life of what's the life of a realtor, and expect and we run it as a we run it. We've got a few realtors that what we all wear. Um, let's just say that it's a privilege to do what we do, and I'm honored to be able to get in the car and go drive to another city and show properties after this call. So
Yeah. Oh
very
yeah,
good.
absolutely.
Yeah. So just when I think, Ryan, about affordability, okay, affordability, what is that like? And even it's very, very, I think, important to kind of highlight is, Ryan, you're a young professional. You're in the industry, like um you didn't quite think a couple years ago, that you knew all the time you wanted to buy. It's just you didn't really know
Yeah.
your radius. So if
Yeah.
you were to provide any kind of, I don't know, I'm going to have a different question. If there's a little bit of a myth in this industry where we may say, well, millennial or like a younger generation, they're not really thinking about buying, or like what what could you share to the community, Ryan, that can provide some insight to other people? Is it that younger generation just may not be aware to start, or why? I'm really curious on your views of how the younger
No,
generation real estate.
I think you just nailed it right there when you said that. I just don't think they know where to start. Like, we're not educated on this. Well, the majority, I should say, are not educated on what to do and what steps to take.
Yep.
And like I said, like me, I just didn't even do it because I just figured I just wouldn't get approved or anything, right? So there was no point in me even trying. But it's just worth taking the steps to figure out where you stand and how you can get to where you need to be. And definitely getting out of that rental trap, because that was always the main thing for me, right? Like, and you guys mentioned it too. The rental trap, like, you're paying someone else's mortgage when you're renting, right? So I always had that in the back of my head, like, oh, I need to get out of this.
Yeah. And it's so true. I mean, a lot of us get, and I've been there. I mean, we had to do the rental game. We had to do the rental game for a few years, and we had to live on the craft dinner like we had to figure out how to increase the income. But you are right. And when we're paying rent, and it's not that, like, we have to have good options for people, but if people, like, when I think about just even getting your foot in the door, once you're in the door, that doesn't even mean to say you have to stay there. You stay there for a couple of years, get the equity built up, or get at least start paying yourself until, okay, then turn around and sell and move up. But you couldn't do that if you're paying rent.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
Yep.
it's quite an interesting, there's just there's it's just a great thing to be able to get the right information, to the right people. And then, oh, okay, because there's, we had a conversation about this not long ago, just around, back before, technology really started to become part of our mainstream, where maybe you could go to the banks and they provide direction, but there's lots of
Hmm.
information all over the internet, but it's not that it's all organized. It's not that if nobody does it, where do you start?
Yes, and just getting connected with the right people too, right? Like you had mentioned, I had a few mortgage brokers in mind and whatnot before we started really getting into things. And you were the one that kind of mentioned, but are they providing you the creative solutions to get you what you need? And that's when I really sat back and kind of realized, like, I don't think these people are asking the necessary questions they need to be asking or anything like that. And just looking out for my best interest. They're just kind of trying to get your business and move on to the next one, right?
Yeah.
And then at least with going with you guys, like for me personally, I don't know very many mortgage brokers or anything like that. So I would have to go interview and kind of just hope that they know what they're doing. Whereas you guys obviously provided me with mortgage brokers that you've worked with and passed many clients to, and you've heard your clients' feedback on those mortgage brokers and the way they work. So you know that they're good brokers, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like that was huge for me.
It's, you know, and for you to go through this experience, Ryan, it's very real, right? And we convey this a lot to people where, and it's not to say, I mean, like, sure, there's wonderful people out there. There's a lot of great talent out there. But you know, the 20/80 rule does exist. It shows, it's called that universal law, you know, 20% of the people doing 80% of the work in areas. And, but this is we're in a different era. There's a lot of self-employment. There's different, and yet there's so many lender options out there. That, I mean, I'm really, really, really excited for you. I'm really grateful that you had the courage to take that first step, the second step, and like as you say, just look at where we are now, and you're just about, you know, you're within a very short period to become a first-time home buyer. Like we're in the searching mode.
Yeah, so, we're going to look today at 6.
We'll look today at 6. That's right.
Yeah.
So just in terms of anything you feel that people may need to know that maybe you did not know right now, like on the whole topic of affordability, because there's some perspective, well, oh my God, it's just too expensive, I'm going to wait till the market comes down, or you know, I'm not sure how we're going to do this, or just that whole concept and thought of, ooh, mortgage or rent. Oh, is there any type of advice, Ryan, that you may have that's you felt important that you may want to share?
I don't know if I have really advice, more of a perspective on it. And that is that I'm obviously in the industry partially, and I know how the market goes and everything.
Yeah.
So I don't see it dropping. Like if you look at year to year, even like when COVID first started, I remember everyone saying, oh no, like houses are going to go down and everything. But the trends, if you look at the trends, right, they're definitely not going down. So anytime that people have ever kind of said to me like, oh, it's going to go down this time, or it's going to go down this time, I look at the stats and I never really ever actually see it go down. So okay. I think the sooner the better, right?
Yeah. So
and then just on top of that, I feel like the most important thing too for me personally, and obviously I hear you guys say it all the time on the CC show, and just people in general, they're just saying like the importance of working with a professional rather than going out and doing it yourself.
Yeah.
And I feel like you can listen and you can hear that, but you don't really know until you experience it for yourself. Mm-hmm. So I have a little bit of a funny story. So the first house that I went to look at that we were interested in St. Catharines was, I didn't have a realtor yet, right? I was just kind of like going around, looking around at, I thought the listing was actually for sale by owner when I first looked at it. And then I realized it was a real estate listing, or that it was listed through a realtor. And, the one we were looking at was through Purple Bricks.
Okay.
And it was just really weird. They, even after, because you were the one that let me know that listing got sold, and they kept messaging me asking if I wanted to see the house even after it was sold. So I found that kind of weird. And just the fact of having a professional on my side, because what you were kind of explaining to Vic and I this morning about, like the stuff that you have access to that the public doesn't even have access to, right? So for me as an individual, if I was going in without a professional by my side, I can't look at the exact comparables and everything and all the information that you might necessarily have, right?
Yeah, makes sense.
So, and how you explained, a house might be priced at a certain price, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to sell for that price, right?
Correct.
So with having you on my side, at least you have a gauge on the market and everything like that. And you can kind of give me an idea of what the house is going to actually go for.
Yep.
So if I see, I've sent you listings and I'm like, oh, this one, but no, it's not, probably not going to actually sell for that much, right? But if I was going in by myself, I would have been completely unaware of all that because I don't have access to any of that data. So I would have just kind of been going in pretty much blind. And I don't think you really, like I said, I don't think you really like know the importance of working with a professional until you actually experience it for yourself.
Makes good sense. So I mean, thank you first of all for what you shared and compliment Ryan. And I'm a good example. Prior to me coming into this industry, because it's been less than 6 years ago, I knew nothing. I thought I did. I really did. And then I came in. I'm like, oh my gosh, I know little. And there's, so even though we're in an era where there's all this technology and there's options, and okay, well, there's a lot of perception that, okay, the buyers, they can, and even for those that want to do it on their own. But you are correct. Like, there's all this other stuff that goes on in the back, behind the scenes, that we don't know. And like from the history. So they say if a home is not, if there's very few showings on a home and the home is on the market, let's say, like in this market, if I see a home on the market, it's been on that market for 29, 32, 35 days, 97% it's due to price. It wasn't priced correctly based upon that home, and every home is different. So then it requires different experience. Because it's not just, there's the location, there's the neighborhood, the demographics, what it yields, that area, that city, access to amenities, et cetera, et cetera. But then when you're in this market of demand where there's just not enough homes being sold, that also, we have to factor that in. And it's a challenge when you're representing, and the first one you might not get, the second one you might not get, but I always say price is a strategy. Price is just strategy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So
even looking into like the future potential of the properties that we're looking at, because as you know, we're looking for something just temporarily that we can live in for a couple of years, and then hopefully the market goes up and then we can sell, right? So having you by our side looking into, because as you know, obviously we're looking into a bunch of different areas, St. Catharines, Welland, Niagara, Fort Erie, Hamilton, Burlington, Brantford. So it's good to have you there to let us know when we're looking at this house, hey, it might have the potential to go up to this amount, but in this other area, we might have a way higher growth potential by buying a house just in a different area.
Exactly. Same thing. It's certain area, even from the time, even if we get into things like the age of the home, they say the age of the home, it used to be 15 years. So from a brand new, let's say you bought it pre-construction and took a couple years to build, and then we move in, and great from an affordability standpoint. And what are we doing? Well, you're kind of getting in under market value. So, depending, the market stays strong. A lot of times pre-construction, they can sell, estimated around 20% below our market value. So they're, you like a condo. If I look at a condo might have cost $285,000, one bedroom plus a den in the Stony Creek area, pre-construction. But today that condo is worth closer to the 375 to 385 mark. So that's a lot of equity in a short period of time. So you get the normal growth in equity, and then you get the equity growth because the market's strong. But and it's realistic. Can it go the other way? Of course it can. Anything that we invest in there's always a risk, but it's how we mitigate the risk.
Yep, you're absolutely right.
Well, on that note, Ryan, I'm going to let you get focused on the road. I'm going to go do the same because I'm going to be traveling to St. Catharines. And just, thank you for coming on. Thank you for coming on and sharing. And
oh, no problem.
And folks, for those that may not be aware, Ryan's actually partnered with us. He's an expert in marketing, digital marketing, if you will, from website development. Amazing to work with. And when all is said and done and we've got the property and everything's firm, then we're going to have you back on.
Awesome. Yeah, I'd love to share that experience.
All right.
I'm sure there's lots more still to learn because I don't know what to expect next or anything. So we're just going to keep it moving.
It is. And I, you know what, like even like Roy, who works with us, and Cindy, who works with us, Cindy, our partner in Hamilton Halton, Roy in the kitchen, Roy, partner in the Kitchener area. To this day, he's saying, I still learn every day. Yeah, every day. Because every home and every situation is different. Ryan, you were with us, I think it was a couple years ago, and we had, you know, an unfortunate scenario where we had helped somebody get actually a rent to own, where we lined up one of our investor clients with them. And fortunately, they passed away. And they passed away not in the way that we want to, you know, yeah. And we had to deal with that. I'm like, oh my God. But we got through it. So all family members, we all got through it.
Yeah.
Yes. So on that note, just thank you everybody for watching. And we've had Ryan Gumbert on, who is with us with CC Realty Group. And if you ever just want to check where Ryan has another really cool company. He's got a web development company called Creature. So Ryan, thank you very much for coming on. Drive safe, and I'm headed, and I'll see you at about 6 o'clock.
Okay, thanks, Michelle. I'll see you at 6, and hopefully one of the ones we look at today is the one.
Hey, you know what? That's why we're doing it. You guys will get a feel.
Yeah, so, awesome. Sounds good.
Okay, everybody enjoy your night. Bye, Ryan.
Take care. Bye.